Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's Brownie from the Young Zings, and welcome to the next edition of Market Watch. Basically, a little mini-series I do where I talk about certain cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you should probably pick up, and cards you should probably get rid of, be it because of a future ban list or future sets, future events that could impact the market in a large way. I mean, most of us competitive players, we all know that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not cheap, so it's good to get a leg up on some of these deals, or probably some of the cards are could probably tank in price. This week we're talking mostly about reprints, and the two sets I have on the agenda are Wing Raiders, which comes out February 12th, and Premium Gold Infinite Gold, which comes out March 18th. Wing Raiders is going to have a minimum of 15 TCG exclusive reprints. That the OCG did not have, not TCG exclusive cards, but reprints that the TCG's getting, but not the OCG in, because the OCG had their equivalent of Wing Raiders come out a little while ago. And Premium Gold Infinite Gold has a fair amount of reprints. We don't know actually the actual amount right now, but it's somewhere between 60 and 80, which is a considerable amount. And we're going to be talking about cards that are actually like in grounds for being reprinted in both of those. And this isn't like a wish list. This is like me, like, I legitimately think that that a bunch of these cards are going to get reprinted in these sets. I have a lot of evidence to back it up. So without further ado, let's move on to the first set on the agenda, which is Wing Raiders. And the first two cards I have to talk about for this set are Swallow's Nest and Xyz Reborn. These are cards actually reprinted in the OCG version, and the reason why I have to bring both these up is because both these cards are pretty much $10, and that's a lot of money. Especially for these cards that aren't really that meta relevant. Like, they're not bad cards, they're pretty solid. But the reason why it's out of all the cards in this list, these are like the two cards I feel like it's pretty much guaranteed they're going to get reprinted. Because what happened was, in case you haven't noticed, is that we've had a lot of OCG sets brought into the TCG with the exact same reprints. Basically, Structured X, Synchron Extreme, Master of Pendulum, Emperor of Darkness, and the big one, which was High Speed Riders. All of the OCG reprints in there, which was like Dark Resonator, what is those? They had Mystical Space Typhoon, Compulse, cards that didn't really need reprints. Those are all brought into TCG's reprints as well, which leads me to believe that anything that's reprinted in the OCG version of Wing Raiders is gonna be reprinted here in the TCG. It might sound like a lot of mumbo jumbo, but pretty much all you know is that for Wing Raiders, these are the two most expensive cards that in the TCG that the OG had reprinted, so they're very, very likely going to get reprinted too. Probably get rid of all your Swallow's Nest, all your Xyz Reborn, and come on, they're overdue for reprints. Swallow's Nest has been printed like once, Xyz Reborn's been printed like once, like it's pretty much going to happen. Also talk about Wing Raiders, we have to talk about the big man, D'Augusto Emerald, and his friend of generic Xyz. He's the one in particular where I think of all the generic Xyz, he's the most likely to get a reprint in this set. This isn't one of these like, oh, I really want D'Augusto Emerald to get a reprint, because actually I don't really care. I have one. It is what it is. If it gets reprinted, I mean, alright, it is what it is. I don't really care. But it's very likely that it will get reprinted because in order for, like, Konami doesn't like making bad sets. That's one thing I noticed. There's always like a few reprints in there that really pushes the setup. For example, High Speed Riders had Emergency Teleport and Trishula of Dragon and Ice Barrier. Those are two pretty good reprints that took a mediocre set to like set that was actually pretty solid and it sold reasonably well. The regular set of Wing Raiders is not that great. It's like, it's okay. Raid Raptors, like, we get 4 Strix, can't wait. Phantom Knights, they're okay. I know, they're not that great. But this set's gonna need some big reprints for it to back it up. And they've already announced 2 of the reprints. They announced a little while ago that Honor Arc, number 101 Honor Arc, is being reprinted in Wing Raiders for sure. And today was announced that number 66 Master Key Beetle is also being reprinted. Both those are either common or super. We don't know. They're both probably super. That leads us to believe that since mostly an Xyz-centric deck, all the decks that are coming out in here are Xyz-centric, like how High Speed Riders was Synchro-centric. Generic Xyz are on the chopping block for the set. So the main one that comes to mind is D'Augusto Emerald. I would imagine that some other ones could include cards like D'Augusto Emerald. I can't really think of other. Ghost Alucard is Ghost Alucard is another generic Xyz I guess would be on the chopping block. Both of those cards got reprints in Battle Pack 3, but they don't really count. Those reprints were just so incredibly hard to get. I guess, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they reprinted Castell again. They tend to reprint cards over and over, like, even when it's not necessary. Remember when they reprinted Preparation Rites and the Secret Forces, and then like 2 weeks later they reprinted in Premium Gold? Yeah, that was pretty funny. That was kind of a waste, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Castell in here too. Other generic XDs though, mainly Alucard, Emerald, those are both kind of due. But we have to get into Premium Gold 3 Infinite Gold, which is going to have a lot more cards we really have to talk about. Aside from the reprints, we've talked about Premium Pack 18. Right now, there's actually some inconsistencies in terms of the product page for Premium Gold 3. That's why we don't have like full knowledge of what's going on. For Premium Gold 3, there are 21 new cards according to the product page, but there are 40 Gold Secret Rares. And supposedly, all the Gold Secret Rares are supposed to be new cards. But, I mean, 21 is not 40, so that means there are 19 cards that are unaccounted for. We know that the 21 cards are the cards from Premium Pack 18 and the OCG, which are cards that actually came out just recently for them. It's like the Bishop Vulcan, like the new Ultimate Zolkin. They had like a new Monarch guy. They had like a new Stardust Synchro that's like level 6. And like, it's okay. Some cards aren't that bad. It's pretty well run, mostly cards from the manga. And the 21st card is Present Exchange. Those are the brand new cards. But whatever the 19 other 19 gold secrets are, if there are any, I don't know if that's like a typo or anything. We'll find out soon. I'll give you guys more information once I find out that that's just they need to really clarify that. But so you can't talk much about that. The reprints though. The first reprint that I'm pretty sure they're going to do, they're not going to pass this up, is Anti-Spell Fragrance. This card has not been printed in a while, and there have been a lot of German Turbo Pack commons that have sprung up on eBay that I guess are randomly accessible. This card's pretty expensive and has been printed in a while. And the biggest thing I've noticed in other Premium Gold sets is they tend to reprint, in Premium Gold 2, they reprinted the Sylvan archetype, but they also reprinted like a bunch of generic cards. Same thing Premium Gold 1, they reprinted a bunch of generic cards, and I think that Anti-Spell Fragrance and Max C are both cards that are overdue for reprint that are highly, highly likely to finally get their turnaround in the set. Remember, I know they're having the Giant Hand and the King of Heavy Industry. They're gonna have a lot more reprints in the set. They're really gonna drive the set up. In the first Premium Gold, we had Effect Veiler and Forbidden Lance. Those are two pretty good reprints that I remember. They also had a lot of Lightsworn stuff, but these are two relatively generic cards that I think are gonna be on the chopping block for Premium Gold. So they're both overdue. I mean, no one's like really that surprised. I guess some of the other ones are surprising. So let's get into them. I mentioned Sylvans and Lightsworns because in Premium Gold 2, they had Sylvans, a relatively higher rarity archetype that some of it was printed in the Megatons, some wasn't. It came around in Megatons 2015, and we also have the Lightsworns in Premium Gold 1. What does that mean? It means that sometimes they go through hold archetypes, and I think the archetype on the chopping block this time is the Mermail archetype. Why? Because it's kind of relevant right now. They do tend to stick with cards that are somewhat relevant to the game right now. Again, this isn't me like, oh, I really want Mermails reprinted. I don't care. It's really not that big a deal. But Mermails are relevant now. They're not going to be relevant that far after. They're all overdue for reprint. Megalo's reprinted in Battle Pack, so he's slightly cheaper than the others, but Abystius, Abyssalind, Abyssphere, those are the three in particular that I think are going to be due for reprint. Megalo's, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised it's in there. Two other cards that might also be in here are Bahamut Shark and Mullen Glacia. For some reason, I find these to be less lucky. Mostly the archetypal Mermail stuff I find is going to be more likely in there. Just keep your eye out for that. Next, we're going to talk about Dragons of Legend. Mainly the first one. So the two, a few cards actually. Itomias, Firehand Ice Hand, and Curry Bandit. And Curry Bandit is special. We'll get to him at the end. Itomias, Firehand Ice Hand. These are all cards that came in Dragon of Legend 1 that we all know of, but they're relative. Like they're still competitive. I mean, they think Itomias is competitive. It's really not. It's a $40 card. It's just like I'm pretty sure it's short print or something. Same with Dark Mystery Dragon Knight. I think Itomias. I mean, it might be in here. If it wouldn't be in here, it'd be in some sort of like movie pack that would be coming out later. But I think definitely Fire and Ice, since they're meta relevant, they're overdue for reprint. It's been a while. Mathematician was in the last Premium Gold, which is a good indication that Dragons of Legend is definitely a fair game for the set. And they want to have somewhat competitive cards in here. Generic competitive cards that do overdue for reprint, Fire and Ice Hand, both fit that criteria. Same with Curry Bandit. But the thing about Curry Bandit is that he might also get like double reprinted. So if he doesn't come in here, he's pretty much definitely going to come in the DDD structure deck, which comes out, I don't know. We don't have an official date on there, but we've seen that it will be coming to the TCG because we saw a box of it at like a Nuremberg toy convention. And Curry Bandit was reprinted in the OCG version of that deck. So if Curry Bandit's not reprinted here, it's going to be reprinted there. So if you have Curry Bandit's like, I don't know. It's not even that good right now. A lot of these cards like aren't that relevant right now. I just recommend getting them. Those are all the cards I think are on the chopping block for cards that are pretty high chance from in my opinion for getting a reprint. But there are two cards I have to go over that I am fairly certain will not be getting reprint, and those two are Luster Pendulum and Ghost Circle Story, because these are the two cards I hear a lot of people like, oh, like Premium Gold hope they reprint Luster Pendulum, or Wing Raiders hope they reprint Luster Pendulum. Like, why are they reprinting them there? Guys, the biggest thing I've noticed in studying both the reprint patterns of Premium Gold 1 and 2 and I don't know, High Speed Riders, they do not reprint cards that had just come out. The exception being High Speed Road Kendama, who came out in Clash Rebellion that was reprinted in High Speed Riders. That's because he was an anime card. None of these two cards are anime cards. Luster Pendulum came out in August, and Ghost Rider came out in May. A lot of these cards that are reprinted in Premium Gold are like pretty old. They don't really print like cards that like came out really recently, like within like the last year or so. I think the earliest one that they reprinted was Mathematician in Premium Gold 2. So he came out like just under a year. He was reprinted. There's no way that either of these two are going to be reprinted in my opinion. So I wouldn't drop either of these two guys. I think the only chance for these two to get reprinted is in a potential Megaton 2016. Whether or not they're going to be doing that after the booster pack changes that happened, Breakers of Shadow and Onward is going to be up in the air. We're going to have to see. Should be interesting. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below of some of these cards. Whether or not, if you think there are on grounds for a reprint. Let me know other cards you think you want to be reprinted. I don't really have a wish list for these sets. I don't know. I'm not even that big of a fan of the premium gold set. I think the gold rares are ugly with the like the diamond name. I think the gold secret rares are absolutely atrocious. They blind my eyes. I'm gonna I have to wear sunglasses whenever I duel using gold secret cards. It's really a pain. So I hope they stop doing that and go back to the old way. But that's just a little thing. Wishlist cards. Yeah, I sort of want the Mermails reprinted, just low key Mermail reprint want, but like, I do legitimately think that they have a high chance of being reprinted. I'd like to see some of the hero structure that commons be upgraded. Those are still relatively new. Master Change 2, I'd like a holo of. Master Change 1, I guess, could use another one. I think it'd be cool to get some of those. That'd be funny if they reprint Stratos and then keep banned. That'd be funny. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.